right now.
Spring training is starting to wind down. The final game that's going to be played at Ed Smith Stadium, the final Orioles spring training game before they ship up to Boston to face the Red Sox on opening day. Fans coming through the gates at Ed Smith Stadium one more time. And the NL Central favorite St. Louis Cardinals coming to town to face the O's. We welcome you to Ed Smith Stadium, everybody. Jeff Arnold with you, alongside MASN insider Rock Kubatko. Well, Rock, we are at the very end, last spring training game today, and still very much left to be decided. And what is complicating things a little bit for Mike Elias and for Brandon Hyde is the fact that you're dealing with some injuries.
Yeah, the roster has to be set noon Thursday, and Hyde joked about, hey, we're not bringing everybody to Boston. He said he'd have a couple planes ready just in case to make room, but they've got a couple guys who are waiting on it. It may be very late. Michael Givens, of course, the sore left knee. 10-pitch sim game yesterday. It was supposed to be a lot more than that. He limped off, fired his glove against the dugout railing, yelled out. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to avoid the IL. James McCann, backup catcher, has, he says, slight soreness in his left oblique. He hasn't played in the week. Oblique and slight really don't go together. He hit off a tee yesterday, said it went okay, good, but not great. The wait on him a little longer. Maybe you take him to Boston and you have Anthony Bemboom on the taxi squad. You have to swap him out. You can do that. But those two guys who were supposed to be locks are no longer locks.
Well, Bemboom was on the Orioles opening day roster last year. A lot of questions to be answered. What we do know is that Dean Kramer's going to start the second game against Boston, and he will be on the mound today. Catch deals and discounts throughout Sarasota County. Start by checking out special offers at funin941.com. Beautiful Sarasota, the Orioles and the St. Louis Cardinals today. 82 degrees, wind blowing out to left field as it typically is, and carrying the carousel right there. We take a look at the St. Louis Cardinals starting lineup. We said they're the favorites in the NL Central, and this could very well be the Cardinals opening day lineup. Donovan, Nootbaar, and Goldschmidt. It's been a big spring training for Nolan Arenado. Wilson Contreras comes over from the Chicago Cubs. Tyler O'Neill plays in center. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker is on the Cardinals team, and Tommy Edman rounding things out. As the Orioles are going to send Dean Kramer to the mound. He's had a great spring training. He's pitched to a 2.5 ERA, and that includes his time with Team Israel in the WBC, where he was very impressive, Rock, over the course of 4 innings.
Yeah, scoreless innings, and what a thrill it was for him, he said, to be able to go there and represent them. And no injury, that was the biggest thing. Brandon Hyde, you wish everybody well when they leave, and then you hold your breath. And of course, there were a couple injuries that happened to other players. He came back healthy, felt like it didn't hurt him to ramp up as quickly as he had to. They did it carefully, and he came back, got himself back into this routine. And for a guy that, was struggling to stay in the majors a few years ago, now here he is as the #2 starter, it's quite a story, quite a turnaround.
It certainly was, and the experiences that Dean Kramer had at the WBC, Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins, a playoff type of atmosphere for all of those guys, and the Orioles are hoping that they're going to be in the playoffs. So it's really nice to get a taste of what the WC was all about, in addition to representing your country, which obviously is something that all the players who participated really love doing. So here's Dean Kramer, and his first pitch of the game is inside for ball 1 as we are underway, the final spring training game of 2023. After today, the games will be for real. 2 balls and no strikes.
And enjoying the warm weather while you can. I believe it's going to be a high of about 43 Thursday and opening day in Boston. Guys are talking about it in the clubhouse. Rain in the forecast Saturday. They're like, come on, really? It's always Boston, too, right? 3 of the last 4 years, Red Sox.
And you're going home first, right? So you're going to have a chance to pack all your warm clothes?
Right. You're going to have to switch up. I didn't bring any sweaters or didn't bring a winter coat. So quick repack, and then back about 24 hours later back to the airport.
3 balls and a strike against Brendan Donovan. 281 with St. Louis last year. He followed by Nootbaar and Goldschmidt in the first inning. And Kramer starts him off with a 5-pitch walk. Now we take a look at the Orioles defensive alignment. Got Anthony Santander playing in left field. It's probably to get him prepared for playing left when the Orioles go to Fenway Park. Mullins and Vavra in the outfield. Urias and Mateo. Frazier at second. Ryan Mountcastle at first. And Adley Rutschman one more tune-up. So here's Lars Nootbaar. And he'll look at a strike in the middle of the plate. 0-1. There's some things that we still have to figure out about the Orioles starting rotation. We know that Kyle Gibson is going to start the first game. We know that Dean Kramer is going to start the second game. Ground ball hit through, and it'll get into center field. Donovan's going to go from first to third, and the Cardinals set up runners at the corners with nobody out.
Well, you want him to hit on the ground. As Scott Erickson always says, you can't always direct where it's going to go. Right here, not too bad a pitch, but just hitting the right spot. He got a little bit more elevated than he wanted to. Clearly, Dean's reaction as soon as contact was made, not exactly where he wanted it.
It's going to send Goldschmidt up to the plate. But to go back to what we were saying, Kramer, Gibson in the rotation. Cole Irvin's going to slot in there someplace. There was a report earlier today concerning Grayson Rodriguez. The Baltimore Banner said that Rodriguez is not going to be in the Orioles opening day rotation. Team, though, has not announced anything specifically yet.
Yeah, I've checked around. I haven't gotten any denials, I can tell you that. And you know, it was kind of heading in this direction. Unfortunately, I mean, Mike Elias was very open about the fact, and he said so again at the Berlin Caravan, that they wanted Grayson to break camp with the team, and they were expecting him to do so. He would have had to pitch his way off, basically, and it looks like that is what happened. And, you know, he sabotaged one bad inning in each of his last 3 starts. Overall, 7.04 ERA, 15.65 WHIP, and 5 starts, 7 walks and 15 in the third, but 19 strikeouts. But those last 3 games, 11 earned runs, 14 total, 14 hits, 10 and 2/3 innings. So basically, pitched his way off. He has nothing else to prove in AAA, but the thought here is that there are things he can do.
Goldschmidt lofts it to right field. Vavra makes the catch on the warning track, but this will get the Cardinals' first run of the game home as Donovan scores, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. Nootbaar hangs on at first base.
But they feel like there are things that he can work on down there, maybe not long, but go down there because the stuff is there. And multiple people have been talking about it. James McCann said, oh, he's got the stuff right now. He's going to be special. He's going to have a really great career, a long career in the majors. But the results and the stuff aren't matching up right now. And they have the luxury, they feel like, of being able to send them down. We're going to soon Tyler Wells that makes the rotation. Really good his last 2 outings, especially the last one. Might have been their best starter the first half of the season last year before the first of his 2 injuries. So now it comes down to slotting, and they have not told us anyone beyond those first 2. Asked Brandon Ide today, and he said we'll announce the number 3 starter, and I assume 4 and 5 when we release the roster.
And then yesterday, Kyle Bradish threw the ball really well against the Phillies. 5 innings of 1-run baseball, but a lot of rotation competition going into the final day. And then we talked about it right off the top, some of the injury considerations that you have as far as James McCann and Michael Givens to try and round out your roster.
Yeah, with Bradish, I mean, I don't know. I say, you know, he really needed that kind of outing because there is uncertainty about the rotation. Maybe he was in anyway, but I still think they were looking for what he did other than the high pitch count. He was full count on a lot of guys yesterday, a lot of foul balls, and even Hyde mentioned that afterward. You know, it was a good outing, but got to tighten that up a little bit.
Arenado takes a strike to move it to 1-2.
But is he a 3? Is he a 4? Is it Irvin? Are they okay with having a lefty pitching at Fenway? They have done it before. Chris Sale's doing it for them, but there's a thought that maybe they want to hold him back till Texas. So we'll see.
And the Orioles will face 2 good offenses right out of the gate. The Red Sox and the Rangers before coming home for the opener at Camden Yards against the Yankees.
I feel like the Red Sox are the bit of the mystery team in the division as far as people saying, you know, that's the last place team again.
Pitch out. They throw in his second base on a bounce, and they got him. And we could see more of that as the season goes along and as pitchers are limited in how many times they can throw over, but they got Nootbaar.
I don't feel like we've seen as much running as I thought we would in spring training. By the way, nice pick there by Frazier, certainly. A little bit of a J.J. Hardy move there. You know, you can bounce the throw. You have a guy you trust that can, you know, bring the glove down, make the catch, and apply the tag quickly.
You certainly trust Frazier. His defensive ability, one of the reasons why the Orioles brought him on board this year.
Versatility, which is kind of the definition of this roster, of guys that can move around everywhere. And we've seen him in the outfield play second base. He's not at second base. We can see Urias, Mateo's moving around now. Taron Vavra's been playing everywhere. So, I mean, they're going to keep moving guys. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson, I think he stays on the left side of the infield, but he will move.
And Kramer got the fastball by Arenado to end the inning. A sac fly has the Cardinals on top. Those fans have come out for the final spring training game that the Orioles are going to play against the St. Louis Cardinals. Orioles today have Mullins, Rutschman, and Mountcastle at the start. It's been a great spring for Mountcastle. Santander just returned from the WBC. Henderson, Urias, Taron Vavra gets the start in right, and then Frazier with a nice pick on the caught stealing in the first inning. Jordan Montgomery now with the Cardinals, but facing the Orioles as Cedric Mullins grounds the first one up the line. Goldschmidt a sliding pickup. Mullins is safe. So nicely done by Cedric Mullins. It looked like Montgomery got over there a little bit too late, and it's an infield single.
Yeah, it's absolutely a nice play along the line. It is Montgomery just being a little slow, and if Cedric Mullins coming out of the box, your clock should tell you, okay, I got to get over a little faster than that. It looks like a tie, and they say the tie doesn't really go to the runner, by the way. We used to say that as kids all the time, but you'll find people that say, players, that is not true. It does not go to the runner.
You have to beat the play.
You have to beat the play.
And Emil Jimenez, the first base umpire, said that he did.
Jordan Montgomery, we haven't seen much of him, have we? It's only the 17th time, I think. 16 regular season with all the time with the Yankees. It seemed like every series Jordan Montgomery was in that rotation, in that series.
And Jordan Montgomery last year was acquired by the Cardinals on trade for Harrison Bader. Good season last year, 348 earned run average. Opponents just 235 against Montgomery. Diverse pitch arsenal. And Rutschman loses his bat, and it goes flying into the Cardinals dugout.
Hang on to it. It's going to be worth something someday.
That is one of the few bad right-handed swings that we have seen from Adley Rutschman all spring training.
Yeah, it's kind of a reverse where, last season you see he's going to lose the grip here. But, he normally is really good from that side, and last season he wasn't. Something he focused on in the offseason. We saw the home run he hit. He's expected to be much better again from that side. It's just kind of a curiosity that he wasn't after he came up.
He spent a lot of time in the offseason focusing on his right-handed swing, and we've seen him hit a couple of right-handed home runs. Takes outside, and it's 1-2.
I'll be curious how many games he catches this year. I think they were hesitant. They didn't want to put him at first base when he came up last year. Obviously played it in college. Obviously played it in the minors in AAA. I think we'll see him once in a while at first. I think we'll see him DH. They want to keep the bat in the lineup and keep it in his hands, obviously.
It's over to Arenado to second for one. Rutschman legs it out as the Orioles stay out of the double play.
I think it's pretty routine. It looked like double play, but Rutschman runs better than the reputation of catchers. He gets down the line a little quicker than you would think. I think most of them that's a 5-4-3, but with him, not necessarily.
If you are into some of the StatCast numbers and you look at sprint speed for catchers, he's right at the top.
We knew it was toolsy. That's not supposed to be one of the tools normally.
And we saw it last year when you and I were doing the series up in Toronto. No matter what the game situation, he always runs hard out of the box.
He does.
Mountcastle dribbles it back to Montgomery. He's only got one play, and he'll take the out at first. Now the Orioles move a man into scoring position. Anthony Santander is next. This is one of the best defenses in all of baseball. Nootbaar, O'Neill, and Walker. Arenado, one of the best defenders in the game. Edman at short, Donovan and Goldschmidt, and then Wilson Contreras taking over for Yadier Molina. He and Albert Pujols retired last year. So with 2 outs and a man at second, here's Santander. Hit a home run yesterday for the O's. And he'll take strike one.
You mentioned him in left field, maybe to get ready for Fenway. I don't know if playing left field at Ed Smith Stadium really gets you ready for the monster Fenway Park, but nonetheless, that angle, certainly, they probably would want more of a speed guy, more range, and someone like Austin Hayes in right in that ballpark, and then they'll switch back when they get to Camden Yards.
Hayes has shown great ability to handle the new dimensions at Camden Yards, and you've got a lot of space you have to cover if you're going to play right field at Fenway Park.
Yeah. And obviously much shorter and left in Boston, then you have to worry about the caroms. If a ball hits the numbers, if there's a ladder, people always are amazed by that. There's actually a ladder on the wall. If it hits that, what way is it going to come off, knowing when to back up, knowing when to chase it.
Fenway Park, if you're an outfielder, it's not a fun place to play.
Not, no.
The 1-2. Santander will foul it away.
So Stevie Wilkerson gave us one of the greatest catches we ever saw in right field. God, a couple years ago now, right? I mean, time is flying, but it was amazing where the wall suddenly lowers and he made that leaping catch to deny the home run.
Rutschman at second with a count 1-2. And now time is requested. That is the only timeout that Santander has. You have to be very judicious on when you use it. One timeout as a batter. Pitchers, you get 2 disengagements, so that means throw overs or step offs.
So what if there's a gust of wind suddenly? He ends up with dirt in his eye. Can he call time, step out because he's blinded, or does he still have to stay in there?
That is an umpire discretion case. And
that's common sense.
The umpires, I think, have gotten more comfortable with some of these changes as we've gone along, and what could happen on a day like today, as we know, tends to be very windy here in Sarasota, very windy in spring training in general.
But then you have to supply, provide some sort of proof that you actually have dirt in your eye. Otherwise, you could just do that just to be able to step out and gather yourself a little bit. I think, and players have said this, once the season starts, umpires may become a little more flexible. You know, for example, you're a right fielder, you make a catch at the fence, you're leading off the next inning, and your dugout's on the third base side. How quickly are you going to get there?
It skips away, and Rutschman will move up to third.
They've also talked about, you know, a batter, you know, fastball near his head, he goes down, he might need a few more seconds to gather himself. You may find some umpires that are willing to overlook that. And here's the wild pitch. Molina would have had that. You know, he's going to hear that now all season. Yadier would have had that.
It was actually Molina who provided a good endorsement for Wilson Contreras before the Cardinals signed him.
Yeah, it's not a bad substitute.
Santander fouls this one away. So working the count here. Santander, not many home runs, just 1 in spring training. He had 2 of them in the WBC, but he's drawn lots of walks.
0 for his first 15 with the Orioles. And then I swing it better lately.
This will be the 9th pitch. And we will go one more.
Always would hear speculation about, you know, trade chips, and if they're looking to bring in a #1 starter or whatever, Santander might be that guy. The rebuttal was, well, that's 33 home runs. We're going to be losing. They've got to come from somewhere else. Switch hitter. They like him in right. They like him at DH. They love his presence in the clubhouse. We probably should hold on to him as we consider ourselves contenders.
He lines this one. It's a fair ball. It'll head into the corner. This gets Rutschman home easily. And Santander, another spring extra base hit to tie us up at 1.
This is what it looks like when you get around on 93 right there.
We know for Santander, he's got power from the left side of the plate. He's got power from the right side of the plate. Number of games last year where he had home runs from each side in the same game. And now to get us to Gunnar Henderson. He hits this one out to shortstop. Edman They'll make the play at first base. Henderson legging it out. But Santander's double ties us up at 1. That's your score. And a 1 in Sarasota. Most fans, every Birdland membership comes with an exclusive members-only Adley Rutschman Celebration bobblehead. Select from a variety of membership options, including the all-new Flex membership. Plus, each membership receives immediate access to opening day tickets. Visit Orioles.com/memberships. Fans in Sarasota, soon they will be at Camden Yards for the home opener against the Yankees. 1-1 our score after Santander's double tied it up. Dean Kramer in his second inning starts Wilson Contreras with strike 1.
Quick thought, if it's members only, did it occur to anybody to put him in a members only jacket on the bobblehead? Or do you even know what a members only jacket is? Am I showing my age? I was the last member. I was pretty late wearing that thing.
I think that's a marketing department question, Rock. Maybe you should inquire after the game.
Yes. Add that to my list.
So Contreras down 0-2. Pitch that is close and just missed, according to Junior Valentine. December, Contreras, a 5-year, $87.5 million deal with St. Louis. Just outside, 2-2. Takes over for Yadier Molina after he made his third All-Star team last year with the Cubs as part of that 2016 Cubs World Series team. And that World Series team did include Orioles manager Brandon Hyde, who is part of Joe Maddon's staff.
Yadier first ballot.
Definitely a Hall of Famer.
First
Definitely
ballot.
a Hall of Famer. I think so.
Yeah.
Off the end of the bat into shallow right, and that'll split Frazier and Vavrin. Just off the end of the bat. He could not have wedged this in any more perfectly between the second baseman and the right fielder.
Kramer's like, all right, ground ball gets through, pop up, falls. I mean, what's got to do here?
Well, you would think that getting more ground balls would be something that would be possible for Dean Kramer this year because the amount of work that he's put in on his sinker. He and Kyle Bradish both focusing on improving their sinkers to help them against right-handed lineups, which you know you'll see a lot of in the American League East.
Right. I mean, we read so much in the way, and usually you can, the way the starters were lined up in camp. We're thinking, all right, it's Gibson, it looks like Bradish, then it's Irvin, then it's Kramer, and all of a sudden you announce it was that Kramer was the #2 starter, even though the way they were set up, Bradish was still going before him, but they're going to flip-flop. So, you know, we really thought we had that one nailed down at least, and we did not.
He went around. Tyler O'Neill, a strikeout victim, as Kramer got him on a sharp breaking ball. Good call.
Yep. The batter's never going to concede that, though. He's always going to act shocked, argue it a little bit, and then walk back. That's one of the toughest calls for me for an umpire.
I think that and the difference between a foul ball hit by pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Good breaking ball there into Nolan Gorman. Kramer spent a lot of the offseason continuing to tinker, and he came in ahead of schedule because he knew he was going to be competing for Team Israel in the WBC.
It's been interesting how many guys have been tinkering late in camp, where Kyle Gibson's like, yeah, I work to kind of unlock my legs a little bit, be smoother downhill on my delivery, and Tyler Wells, I'm doing something different with my hands, and Bradish the same thing. Bradish did it once and it went back to his old setup, he said. Felix Bautista thought he was tipping off his pitches with his hands and his leg kick were both high for the fastball, but he would lower his hands for the split, so he's trying to fix that. He thought he was tipping pitches. He certainly didn't look that way last year, but he was tweaking things as well as they're getting ready to break camp.
The one thing you know about Dean Kremer, if he's going to make some type of a tweak, there's going to be a reason behind it. He needs to understand every little piece of the process, and if he's going to make a change, why he's doing it.
Right.
Two-two to Gorman. Upstairs for ball 3.
Do you think Jim Palmer ever had to worry about not being smooth enough in his delivery when he pitched? He was like creamy Jif among pitchers. That guy was the smoothest. It's a perfect windup, perfect delivery.
He still is very smooth.
He is.
Nice pitch by Kremer to strike Gorman out. So that's back-to-back punch-outs for Dean Kremer.
Looking up just a little bit up in the zone.
Went backdoor, struck him out. It's going to get us to Jordan Walker, one of the game's most exciting prospects, who is going to be part of the Cardinals opening day roster. There's this video on social media where he was told on Saturday that he did make the team. He will be one of 2 Cardinals rookies on their opening day roster this year.
Straight from Double-A at age 20. Number 4 overall prospect in baseball. Might be blocked at third base here, but that's fine. He can play the outfield.
MLB Pipeline has him as the number 4 prospect in the game. Hits for power, hits for average.
Did really well in the Arizona Fall League with Salt River.
High and deep, but that one's foul and out of play.
But very deep.
And out in front of a Kremer curveball. And Dean Sevian strike out 3 in a row after Contreras reached on the leadoff single.
I mean, it isn't unprecedented, but still interesting to take a kid right out of Double-A. So, you know what, there's nothing else you need to do even in Triple-A. Let's just bring you up.
That gets away from Rutschman and will advance Contreras to second base.
Rutschman's so good at blocking pitches, but you got to give him a chance. Tried the backhand. There's no way he's going to be able to slide over.
Kremer will try and strand Contreras at second base.
And already at 35 pitches.
He yanked that one outside, sending the count full. One more chance for Dean Kremer. Remember, the Orioles, they're going to play opening day on Thursday in Boston. And then they will play on Saturday after a Friday off day.
You know, it's not unusual for a manager to shorten his starters their last outing before breaking camp. But Hyde said a few days ago they weren't going to do that with these guys because he thought maybe sometimes they'll pull them back, couple innings, X number of pitches, and then maybe freshen them up a little bit. But he indicated that wasn't going to be the case here.
Edman is waiting on deck for the Cardinals. Try another 3-2 to Walker. Painted the corner. Strike 3. Walker thought it was outside, and after the single to start, 3 straight punch outs for Dean Kremer. 1-1 game. Walker caught looking. Bottom of the second inning, Orioles and Cardinals are tied at 1. Leadoff single by Wilson Contreras, followed by 3 straight strikeouts for Dean Kremer. And the Orioles will have Ramon Urias open up the bottom of the second inning. Cardinals getting their run on a sac fly. Orioles getting theirs on a Santander double. So here comes Urias in at third base for the Orioles today. And he'll take a look at strike 1. Gold Glove winner last year in the American League. Figures to move all around the diamond this year. Flares this one, and it's foul.
It's not as unusual as I thought when I contacted Stats Research to see last time or how often it's happened where someone's won a Gold Glove and then not been at that position the next season. Happened more than you would think, but still, it's interesting when a guy, played that well, and you think, all right, we're set at third base. Well, now we have Gunnar Henderson, and we're still set with Jorge Mateo at short. We'll put you at second. So you could end up in more of a utility-type role with that Gold Glove.
Wasn't Frank Robinson in that list that you looked up, moving positions?
I believe so. We only know him as right fielder, but I believe he was one of the ones that moved.
Arias is down 1-2 against Montgomery, and he'll ground this one out to Arenado. He'll get the out, and there's one away. As we bring in Orioles hitting coach Matt Borg-Schulte. Matt, Jeff Arnold, Rock Kabako with you. Thanks for giving us a little bit of time today. Overall, as you guys play your last spring training game today, how do you feel about the progress of your hitters going into the regular season?
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, I think we're set up for a good start to the season, and guys have been putting in good work so far this spring, and it's excited just to kind of get rolling.
What's that collaboration like? Because I've heard guys talk about you and Ryan Fuller and Sherman Johnson, who's now at Bowie, and Brink Ambler, who's moved up to Norfolk. That's like a group effort with you guys.
Yeah, no question. I'm really lucky. I think we're all really lucky to have a great staff that the front office put together for us, and we work really well together. And it just makes it easier when you have people that are on the same page as you and working together for a common goal.
Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot. Whose at bats have you liked the most in camp?
Oh, that's a challenging one. I think Austin Hayes and Cedric Mullins have been great for me so far. It's been awesome to see those guys continue to take steps forward, and hopefully another great season.
Well, Matt, we really appreciate you taking just a little bit of time with us, and best of luck the rest of today, and we'll see you in Boston.
Thank you. See you guys.
1 ball and 1 strike against Adam Frazier. I mean, I think that's probably who you expect he would say is Austin Hayes, because of how he's now using the entire field.
I thought maybe Mountcastle as well. I'm sure they're happy with his entire body of work here, because he's another guy inconsistent. He has those stretches where it looks like no one's going to get him out. High exit velo, and then he just falls into these slumps. And they're trying to iron that out, lessen the slumps, the dry spells, and just get more consistency. That's a big bat for the middle of the order.
And then on the minor league side, Heston Kjerstad, yeah. What a story he was in spring training. I mean, every time he stepped up to the plate, you were wondering how hard was he going to hit it and how far was it going to go.
Yeah, they have a few guys. There were some very loud BP sessions where you snap your head and look up because of that noise.
In the hole, Edman gets there, and it's picked out of the dirt by Paul Goldschmidt. Said it's one of the best defenses on all of baseball, and they help Montgomery get a 1-2-3 inning. Hey, those families, Nickelodeon Kids Opening Day is on Sunday, April 9th versus the Yankees. The first 10,000 fans, 14 and under, will receive an Orioles Bird Nickelodeon bobblehead presented by Wise Markets. Plus, enjoy appearances by Nickelodeon characters. Blues Orioles Adventure, Kids Run the Bases, and more. Purchase now at Orioles.com/kids. I wonder if they're going to bring the slime for Jim Palmer and Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald.
Please have the camera ready if that happens, please.
That would be a good game for you to bring your granddaughter to.
It would be, actually. By the way, Jim's not letting that get in his hair. Let's just be honest right now.
It's too perfect.
No.
Might make Kevin's hair actually look a little better, though.
Ben would put on his Yellowstone cowboy hat. He'd be fine.
Over the outside corner to Tommy Edman, who made a great diving pickup to rob Frazier of a hit and end the second. Dean Kramer struck out 3 straight to finish off his half of the second inning. And this is lined in the left. A base hit for Tommy Edman, the 3rd hit that the Cardinals have picked up.
So they haven't all been cheapies. This one's barreled up here. And again, up in the zone, not where he wants it. And, he tells too. See from his reaction, you see as soon as the batter's swinging, he knows, right, this is not where I want it. This is not going to end well. Got to get the ball down.
And maybe location-wise, not as sharp for Kramer in these first 2 innings and change. He pumps in strike 1 to Donovan.
And facing a pretty good lineup here. And I'll have to say, I didn't know how many regulars they were going to bring all the way from Jupiter. I mean, this is an odd trip to end the camp. But at least they only played a 24-1 game before this.
I was going to say, Frazier can't find it. Neither can Vavra. That ball is not caught by Mullins, as everybody lost it. Frazier didn't know where it was. Vavra didn't know where it was. Eventually, Mullins located it, but it dropped in, and it's going to be a single for Donovan.
And I was watching Vavra, thinking it was coming to him, but he had his arm spread. I didn't realize it was closer to Mullins. I mean, he's obviously great speed, but he could not get over to it.
Mullins almost made the play in center field. Motter is going to come on and pinch run for the Cardinals. Taylor Motter at first base with Edman in front of him.
You always talk about how hard it is to track and catch fly balls in spring training, though we do have some clouds in the sky. It's not just that deep blue sky, but you hear that all the time. It's the biggest challenge in spring training.
Out to right. Vavra makes the catch, going onto the warning track, and Edman will tag and move up to third.
At this point, it's easier to catch the line drive.
Well, at the very least, Dean Kramer has a double play chance with men at the corners and 1 out, as he'll face Paul Goldschmidt, last year's National League most valuable player. He has earned a Gold Glove and been on the All-Star team in the same year 3 different times. Now he faces Dean Kramer, who, like you said, this is basically the Cardinals' opening day lineup. So he's getting a real test before he sees the Boston Red Sox on Saturday.
And I'm sure that's what he'd prefer no matter the results. You'd rather not face 9 guys from the minor league camp in your final start. You're getting ready to be the #2 starter on the major league staff.
You go back to that game score from yesterday. You were kind of saying jokingly that after losing to the Astros 24-1 yesterday, I don't know if Ali Marmol, the Cardinals manager, wanted that to happen again.
First thing I did when I checked the box score, scrolled down the time of game. 3 hours 9 minutes. That was impressive for 24-1.
Front door breaking balls inside. There's Ali Marmol. He's done a good job with the Cardinals leading the way. St. Louis expected to win the NL Central this year. They were eliminated by the Phillies in the wild card round of the playoffs last year. Kramer makes a good pitch, and Goldschmidt falls behind.
Jack Flaherty started that 24-1 game. 6.41 ERA this spring, for what that's worth. Houston had a 9-run 8th inning in that one.
Two and 2 against Goldschmidt.
We were having a press box debate about whether Goldschmidt is going to be a Hall of Famer by the time he's done.
Well, 35 home runs and 115 driven in last year will help.
I would think Nolan Arenado. Yes.
All those platinum Gold Gloves that he's won. He was top 3 in National League MVP voting last year. It's a stacked Cardinals team. Great offense, great defense, and a good test is Chris Holt and Darren Holmes no for Kramer. One out in the inning, 3 and 2.
I keep hearing how it benefits the Orioles now that they have 13 games against division opponents instead of 19. You think the Cardinals would prefer having 19 against their division opponents instead of 13?
I mean, I think that if they played more games against teams inside the division, then they would be predicted to probably win 100+ games.
Yeah.
3-2, and Goldschmidt sees one more from Kramer.
When I talked to guys in the Oriole clubhouse the last few days about, you still think this is a playoff team, and they all in unison, yes, absolutely. But it's like, and we know what division we're in. Like, it still comes up. It's even in the back of their minds. We know what we're up against. However, they still think that they can exceed what they did last year, not just contend into September.
Handed it at the knees, strike 3. Goldschmidt thought it might have been low, but that's 5 strikeouts for Kramer.
And this is mid-90s right here. And, of course, Rutschman as good as it gets at framing.
So with 2 outs, it gets us to Nolan Arenado, hitting with runners at the corners. Arenado, he was the first Kramer strikeout victim. Puts this one in the air, and it looks like Kramer will get out of the inning. Santander makes the catch, and they are stranded at the corners. Middle of the 3rd in Sarasota. Game tied at 1. Orioles and the Cardinals are tied at 1 as we start the bottom of the 3rd, and we are pleased to be joined by Orioles opening day starter Kyle Gibson. Kyle, Jeff Arnold, Rock Kabako up in the broadcast booth. Take us to the conversation that you had to Brandon Hyde when he informed you that you would be the opening day starter this year.
Yeah, kind of caught me by surprise. It was quick passing in the hallway, and he just asked me. He's like, "Hey, you all right if you start opening day?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." It was short and sweet, but it's always an honor for that to happen. This is only the 2nd time I've worn a uniform actually on opening day, so I try to not take that for granted. And I was not out there very long last time, so we'll see if we can get out there for a little longer this time.
Edman will get the out at first base as he takes care of Mateo.
So no point in your mind were you kind of lining things up and saying, well, it's not official yet, but I am the guy. Plus, of course, the experience that you bring.
I mean, the last couple starts, we had extra days worked in with either off days or something like that. So I'll be on 6 days rest this time. So, yeah, I mean, I think things were lining up. But, it's not too hard to shift things around. But, for me, I try to not worry about that. I'm going to, like I told a couple people, the organization, has pitchers that they have lined up or in a position for a reason, and I don't know what those thoughts are. So, sometimes it's good to really reward a young guy after having a great year, let him have that honor, because it is an honor. So, I didn't really have any prior experience of that.
Kyle, what's it been like working with Adley Rutschman? You've gotten to do that a couple of times because you're familiar with working with great catchers.
Yeah, he's another great one. He's a guy that obviously has a reputation already, very quick in this game of being somebody who's a student of the game, understands how to call a game. And my conversations with Jordan Lyles in the offseason before I signed with the Orioles, there was a lot of conversation about Adley and what he brings to the table and how comfortable Jordan was throwing to him, and what he felt like Adley helped him with. So, and then obviously he can do it from both sides of the plate and on offense as well. And you just don't have. It's a special talent to have, and it's somebody that's a game changer for an organization.
Kyle, do you feel like no matter how this rotation is aligned, and we only know 2 spots right now, it has a chance to be very good?
Yeah, absolutely. I look around at the guys that didn't make the team, and the depth in starting pitching, is really, really good. We got enough guys to fill out a couple rotations probably. So, the stuff up here right now, and these 5 or 6 guys is really good. And yeah, I think when our job as a starting staff is to provide a little bit of consistency here. Let's give the team a chance every single day, and let's make sure the offense understands that, hey, when we show up, we're not having to score 5 or 6 a day just to be in the game.
I'll take care of Rutschman. Kyle, what do you tell a member of the pitching staff who's on the bubble and they're playing the waiting game right now, trying to figure out if they are part of the Orioles opening day roster or not, what would be your advice to somebody like that going through that?
You know, there's so many things, not only in this game but in life, obviously, that you can't control, and I think it's one of those moments in life that you know, there's always inner workings behind the scenes, right? You know, for whatever reason, certain guys don't make the team or they do make the team, and those are all things out of our control. Oh, good swing.
Looks like Neal's going to get to this one.
And you just got to be able to move past it. You got to be able to keep your job in mind and be ready when your time comes.
Kyle, congratulations. And by the way, nice job at successfully navigating us to break.
Appreciate it, guys.
Baseball anytime, anywhere on the Masson app. Watch games live and receive expert analysis and player stats all in the palm of your hand. Don't miss a pitch. Download yours today. So the Orioles and the Cardinals, final spring training game. Jeff Arnold, Masson insider Rot Kabatko with us and our great crew. Dean Kramer is going to start off the fourth. The Orioles have made some changes defensively, as this one is headed out to Mateo. Nice sliding pickup, and they got him. You needed to see one more exciting Jorge Mateo play before we went to Boston.
It's that range, the arm. And this looks like up the middle. And then just look how he gets over there. Gets his footwork. Strong throw. And a new first baseman handling it.
So we've got Adam Frazier playing in left field. Ryan McKenna is in center. Franchi Cordero is in right. Terran Vavra playing at second base. And then you might have seen the one stretching for that throw was Anthony Santander.
Welcome to spring training. We have to keep track of all the changes. It drives them nuts in the booth.
He's been getting work at first base. Brandon Hyde the other day was saying about Santander that he would be comfortable right now if you wanted to put him in a regular season game at first.
I mean, he played it before the Orioles took him in the Rule 5 from Cleveland's organization. That was A ball, and not a lot, but he did have some experience. But he does look comfortable. You can tell when guys are kind of feeling their way through it. But his positioning, footwork, the way he's receiving the ball, digging a throw out of the dirt, because there's a lot to it. It's not as easy as, hey, anybody can play first. You got to know where to take cutoffs and, you know, making the throw, the 3-6-3, when to go after a ball, when to break for the bag. There's a lot more to it.
He did say because of his work in the outfield, catching pop-ups isn't too challenging at first.
We saw him run one down in foul territory the last time he was out there. And this brings us back to where they can do about the backup spot at first base. Can they just go? We have Santander, we have Vavra, Rutschman can play over there, McCann, when he's healthy, can play. They've got guys, or do one of those left-handed hitting non-roster players end up making the club?
Kramer powers it by him for strike three.
He's gotten O'Neill twice now. His heat a little up and in. I think overall, just predicting Dean's not going to be thrilled overall with his location today, but we're talking one run allowed.
And that's the mark of somebody that you're counting on in your starting rotation, even on a day where your stuff is good but maybe your location isn't, or vice versa, that you can still be productive and keep your team in the game. And Kramer showed a much better ability to do that last year. McKenna to center field. He's on the warning track and he's out of room. It's a homer for Nolan Gorman, and the Cardinals make it 2-1.
It's his fourth of the spring. Right there, that's bad location. And that's 6 home runs allowed by Kramer this spring.
All the runs coming off of solo homers. 0-1 against Walker. Kramer struck him out first time he came up.
And we talked to him about that in Dunedin. He said it's just one of those things. It's not a big concern, but obviously he would like to limit the number. And it wasn't anything he was overly concerned about. It was more of just kind of an oddity. It was 5 solo home runs. Now he's given up 6, plus he had the sac fly today.
A one hopper to Mateo, and he'll throw Walker out to end the inning. But Nolan Gorman with a 2-out home run, and the Cardinals have the lead. Orioles single game tickets are on sale now. Lock in the best seats to the top games, including giveaways like the Birdland Hawaiian shirt and Adley Rutschman bobblehead. Tickets start as low as $10. Plan your summer at Oriole Park at Orioles.com/tickets. And the big fella, Felix Bautista, can come out and see him. He's expected to see time in the game today. Dean Kramer allows a solo home run to Nolan Gorman, so that is 6 of them allowed now on the spring. The Cardinals have a 1-run lead as Santander takes outside. He's now playing at first base.
His parents will be in Boston. They'll be in Baltimore. We see him at every game at Camden Yards. They stay with him. And you see him sitting on the bench outside the clubhouse waiting for him after games at Camden Yards. I mean, it's his biggest fans. It's really sweet to see. He had the walk-off last season as I came out of the clubhouse afterward. His dad was sitting on the bench smiling and looking at his phone. I could hear him listening to the replay of the walk-off. This looked like the proudest dad ever. You know. I just give him the nod, the head nod. They nod back.
Yeah, they do everything together, and Santander likes the fact that when they come to town, they stay with him. Very tight-knit family.
And he loves his mom's cooking, but when I mentioned that, he's like, but I have to be careful. And he holds his arms out like, I can't get fat off of that cooking. So that's the only problem. Off season a little more than in season.
And it gets in the whole way of that best shape of your life thing.
Yes, the rapist. That's what he said was the problem for him. That's his weakness. But everybody's in the best shape of life. Tyler Wells literally was. He dropped like 20 pounds. But I tried to get him to say it. Like, come on, say it. Best shape of your life. The spring training cliche. He started to, and he goes, no, don't write that. Because I'm hoping by August I'll be in the best shape. But don't say it right now.
It's funny because I saw you do it. And then when I got back into town, I tried to do the same thing and see if I can convince him to say that. He's like, all the writers, they keep asking me, is this best shape of your life? He's like, I don't want to say it. Santander swings through a breaking ball, and Montgomery's got his first strikeout.
He went fishing on this one. That break, that's unhittable.
You figured you would know the pitch arsenal of Jordan Montgomery if you're a member of the Orioles pretty well by now. He's seen the Orioles in his career more than any other team. 16 times he's faced them in the regular season. And of course, final spring training game, you got to have a Jordan Montgomery day.
And he has a 3.04 ERA against him. He's actually been good against him. It's not just that they see him a lot. He's been very effective. And I don't think the Yankees right now are ready to say, oh, we wish we hadn't traded him. They could use a starter right now.
Injury to Carlos Rodon.
Severino. And did I see where Harrison Bader's going on the IL? So right now it doesn't look good. It could still turn out. They wanted that plus defender in center field. They got him, but they could use a Jordan Montgomery.
Great career with the Yankees. Then he came to the Cardinals, and he was actually even better than he was with the Yankees last year. Montgomery's going to slide into the number 3 role in the rotation for the Cardinals behind Miles Michaelis and Jack Flaherty. Two and two against Gunnar Henderson.
And maybe spring numbers don't matter. I mentioned Flaherty with the high ERA, and Montgomery, it's I think 6 runs and 14 hits allowed in 12 innings coming into this game. It's looked a little bit better. But when you know you've made the club, you know you're just working on things. You can have that luxury, just kind of tweaking a little bit or experimenting. maybe throwing pitches in certain situations you wouldn't normally do in a game in May or June. But you have to know that you're on the team. When Matt Riley was the top Oriole pitching prospect, he told me he was working on things when he got shelled Jupiter. It's like, you know, you're not on the club. He had like a 20-something ERA and he got sent out. It's like you're not in a position to work on things.
A nice paint job by Montgomery to strike out Henderson. Tanner Kisner didn't move. So back-to-back strikeouts, getting us to Ramon Urias. He's dealing with soreness in his right thumb for a couple of days last week. Was hit while fielding a ground ball last Thursday, and then he was scratched from the lineup back-to-back days, but is back in there. Returned on Saturday against the Pirates. It's muffed, but it's called a strike.
Yeah, when he was scratched the second time, he said that he just noticed when he was trying to test it, throwing it, putting pressure on that thumb still hurt a little bit. But he kept saying it's not a big deal. But you hear guys say that, and this is happening right around the time of, hey, where's James McCann? He hasn't been playing, and Michael Gibbons hasn't pitched in a while. It's like you're trying to get through camp relatively healthy, and all of a sudden this starts happening. Because really it was kind of bookends. You had the big announcement from Michael Eyes like day one. Oh, by the way, Dylan Tate, he's going to be out at least a month, and you know, Batista's questionable. You know, getting strengthening exercises on the shoulder and treatment on the knee. And DL Hall was being slow played because he had some discomfort in his lower back. That was day one. And then now toward the end here, we've got, you know, Gibbons and McCann. And in between, it was just kind of like those little, you know, Ryan O'Hearn swelling in the knee for a few days. Urias, obviously. You know, Lewin Diaz, we never got to see him again. He had the shoulder soreness, but he wasn't going to make the club anyway at that point. Oh, and Vavra had the sore shoulder, but that was a few days, and he's back. But really, it was like the big news was at the beginning and toward the end here.
Yesterday, DL Hall, he was optioned to AAA. They're going to continue to stretch him out as a starting pitcher at Norfolk. And then Spencer Watkins, he was optioned along with Yennier Cano.
Cano was sneaky good this spring. No walks, 10 strikeouts. I think he scored on an only one outing. But unfortunately for him, and I guess for the media, a lot of times he's pitching like the ninth inning, Jeff, as you know, as we're, you know, either heads down writing or we're getting up to go down to get the manager as soon as the game ends, and you don't really get to see that inning if he comes in later. And a guy that we didn't really project had a chance to make the club unless there were multiple injuries, so you're not paying as close of attention to him. Then you look at the numbers and say, wow, that was really good.
Line drive, foul ball. Urias, the notion of an extra base hit, but it was a little wide of the chalk.
Thought you were going to break out the Maryland accent and say notion. Notion. Notion.
Urias back in the batter's box. Brandon Hyde looking on, realizing there are quite a few decisions still to be made, and they may not even be made after the game today.
Yeah, we're not sure. Maybe some, but not all.
Urias goes down on strikes. Montgomery strikes out the side in the fourth inning. The Gorman Hubbard has the Cardinals ahead. The next broadcast, opening day, it's just 3 days away. Join us again Thursday when the O's open up the 2023 season in Boston. Coverage on MASN 2 begins at 1:30 with O's Extra, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Kyle Gibson facing off against Corey Kluber. First pitch coming up at 2:10 for Corey Kluber. Third straight year he's with a team in the AL East. This time it is Boston. And then Kyle Gibson announced as the Orioles opening day starter this past Friday. As Dean Kramer will start game 2, pumps in strike 1 to Tommy Edman.
If you hear her starting game 3, let me know, would you?
I don't have any more sources than you, Rock. Over the inside corner, 0-2. What do you do with Cole Irvin? Maybe that is his role just because he's the only lefty that you have in your rotation, at least at the start of the year. And then you had convincing final arguments for rotation spots by Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. on Saturday and Sunday,
which we now think are the 5. It's just the order. Sometimes it's hard to track guys too because they're throwing on the back fields. We hadn't seen Irvin. It's like, oh, he just threw 5 on the Camden Yards field. And I asked Spencer Watkins the other day before he was sent down, like, when do you pitch again? He goes, I just threw 5 innings and 80 pitches on the back field.
And that was the plan for Irvin today, is to get some backfield work in. And there is swerving Cole Irvin. Got to 6 ups in our last Masson broadcast against the Red Sox. Kramer will underhand to first base and pick up the out of Edmond. The questions in the starting rotation, and then some questions in the bullpen with Michael Gibbons yesterday trying a sim game beforehand, threw 10 pitches. Was very frustrated after he began to feel the knee soreness again. With him looking like it may not be ready for opening day, who does that create an opportunity for?
You know, you wonder if it could be Andrew Politi, the Rule 5 pick from the Red Sox, who's already really impressed. Now, his last outing with the shaky one, he's given up runs in 2 of them. 2 2-run homers in Clearwater, but came right back and had a couple strong outings, including one against the Phillies again in the rematch. They really like his stuff. They love the curveball. They'd like to be able to hold on to him. And there's no way you're going to get him through waivers. And there's no way the Red Sox are going to say, go ahead and keep him. So you have to try and hold on to him. Can't stash a Rule 5 guy. So, I mean, he would have to be ready. And he's looked really good. Does Mike Baumann to suddenly, you know, he end up getting a spot there when they've transitioned him to this, you know, 1-inning short spurt reliever, which I think is going to be good for him because, you know, he's been back and forth on the shuttle, majors, AAA, back to the majors, AAA, starting there, relief here, maybe a start here, but then back down there. It would be good to just get him to be able to focus on one role. And, you know, he's got the stuff for 1 inning and that fastball, and it's going to tick up the velocity when he's used in, you know, for shorter spurts. But is that going to be one of those situations where they say they can do that and there's room now, or do they want to send him down to keep having him work in that role, even though if you've been stretched out, he could probably be reduced to 1 inning just fine. But, you know, that opens up a possibility for him as well. We're assuming, you know, Joey Crable got off with a really bad start, has been really good since then. And Keegan Aiken is now a lock, and, you know, he's had as good a stuff as anybody in camp, as Hyde has pointed out. And it's another lefty, especially with DL Hall not in the bullpen. And Hall was the big mystery. Like, it turns out, though, what they were telling us is what they ended up doing. They said all along, we don't want to take a young starter and risk any sort of development by putting him in a bullpen just to fill an immediate need in 2023. This is what we're seeing. They're sending him down, but there was a point there, especially after that second outing in Bradenton, we started to wonder, the stuff is so good. And, you know, the bullpen, again, is going to be relied on heavily like it was, and he was so good in that role when he came back up. Maybe you would do that, but the Orioles did not fall for the temptation. They're like, we're sticking to the plan. You can't stretch out the bullpen as easily as you can down in the minors in that rotation, and then he'll be back up.
2-2 against Motter. He'll foul another one off from Dean Kramer, who's had some long at bats. That'll move him to 80 pitches. And something to consider for DL Hall and for Grayson Rodriguez is how many innings that they pitched last year. And while there will be no hard and fast rules, we heard about innings limits. Nice pitch by Dean Kramer. They will have to factor in that a massive platform of innings is probably not going to happen.
Right. And, you know, that's why I thought at one point, too, and again, now Grayson Rodriguez being out of that rotation pitcher, but whether they'd be willing to maybe piggyback. And that could have been a Tyler Wells, for example, but they never seemed like they wanted to do that. 8-man bullpen really becomes a 7-man bullpen then on those other days. And they just didn't think that they had that luxury.
Out to the gap in right center field. Cordero will get there and cut it off. It's a base hit for Dylan Carlson.
But they're going to be very careful with these guys. But that's why you wanted a Kyle Gibson, because he's replacing Jordan Lyles basically as that guy who's going to eat the innings, and Cole Irvin can do the same thing. And you can go ahead and bump up a Kramer and a Bradish more, building off of what they did last year. And with Wells, of course, the 2 stints on the IL. So they have to be a little bit more careful with him because the innings weren't built up as much. But he'd already been undergoing that process, going from the Rule 5 late inning guy to being in the rotation. And it would have been strange if they had ended up deciding, let's put him back in the pen, he's like, you guys worked so hard to build me back up as a starter. How am I back in the bullpen? So for him, it certainly worked out well.
Line drive again into right center field. Carlson will hold on at second base. Back-to-back two-out hits for the Cardinals, first from Carlson and now from Alec Burleson. So Burleson, who is the other Cardinals rookie on the opening day roster along with Jordan Walker, has got a two-out hit. And that'll send up Jacob Butchberger.
And Kramer reaching that pitch limit here. If he doesn't get this guy, we have action of the bullpen now.
Mike Baumann, who we were talking about, he is scheduled to throw today, and there he is in the Orioles bullpen. Looks like we will also hear from Felix Bautista, one more tune-up, and then Edward Bizardo and Reed Garrett, others listed to pitch.
I'm curious about Garrett because he closed out yesterday's game, so would they go back-to-back?
You know, the funny thing is, when we did the game against the Red Sox last week, we saw Boston actually go back-to-back, I think with a reliever or two. Two balls and no strikes. Against Butchberger, who took over for Nolan Arenado. Cardinals making a battery of changes after they started with a lineup that could very well be their opening day lineup. 2-1.
At this point, if Kramer gets out of this, gets through the setting, I don't think they're going to worry about getting him another up or even like throwing in the bullpen. He's approaching 90 here.
That gets away from Maverick Hanley, and both runners will move up. Hanley coming on to replace Adley Rutschman. Carlson to third, Burleson to second base.
That one, Hanley, I'm sure, thinks he should have been able to keep in front of him.
Now, the thing about Dean Kramer in this final spring tune-up, he hasn't always been sharp, but he's made pitches when he's needed to. Out to deep left field, and Butchberger has hit it out. A frozen rope over the wall, a three-run homer, and the Cardinals extend their lead to 5-1.
Now 7 home runs allowed by Kramer. First one that isn't solo, and here comes Brandon Hyde.
And Brandon Hyde coming out to the mound. 3-1 pitch, and it just kind of stayed in the middle. So Butchberger hits the home run. Cardinals extend their lead to 4 runs. Pitching change in Sarasota. Dean Kramer, a mistake pitch on 3-1, and it leads to a 3-run homer that ends his day. 5 runs in 4 2/3 innings. So it'll bring on Mike Baumann, who was stretched out at the very beginning of camp and then shifted into a short relief role, a role that he has handled very well. And he comes on with 2 outs after Butchberger hits the 3-run homer. Baumann 7 appearances on the spring. Really hard slider, cutter that's in the low 90s. And by him being in short relief, it means he can really air it out over the course of an inning or so. And then he does give you an option for somebody who could go out there for a second inning if need be. Finds the outside corner. It's 0-2 against new catcher Andrew Kisner, who came on for Contreras.
We saw him get out of a jam in his last outing. Was scoreless inning, put 2 on, got out of it. So he has 3 scoreless outings, 1 inning each, of course, since they, or 4 since they transitioned into this role.
And a swing and a miss. Uses the slider to strike Kisner out, but Butchberger's 3-run homer has the Cardinals lead at 4. $10 Utah Street bleacher seats are back for home games Monday through Thursday all season long, featuring a great view of center field and most of the excitement of Utah Street. Buy tickets at Orioles.com/tickets. Ed Smith Stadium in Sarasota, the Birdland Hawaiian shirt. If you're going to plan a vacation, this is a must visit as far as the spring training circuit goes. You come out to Sarasota, you have one of the best ballparks in all of spring training. Yeah, they got home run chains here too. And then you also can go to all the different places downtown, spots to hang out on the water. There are beaches nearby. The Rock Cabatco spring training social calendar is usually pretty full, and mine is too.
I mean, it starts at LA Fitness, but yes, I kind of spread out after that. The old 6-week membership, they've been so good to me. But yeah, my first year, actually, my sense of direction is terrible, and I was so used to Fort Lauderdale. I think I went to the same restaurant here pretty much for like 4 or 5 days a week. It was the only place I knew how to get to. And then gradually you learn your way around, and it's really built up too. It's just such a great location, and they're so good to this club. They've really embraced the Orioles and vice versa really since day one.
And the Orioles, it's not just spring training here. The Orioles are very active in the community here in Sarasota. A lot of great events. We had a sellout crowd yesterday. It's the place to be in February and March. Vavra's rung up by Montgomery. That makes 4 straight strikeouts for Jordan Montgomery.
Hit the target right there where he's set up.
And his location has been pinpoint. By the way, Rock, did you cancel that LA Fitness membership yet?
I mean, it's supposed to happen automatically. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I have to make a phone call and say, hey, I'm still getting charged. But yeah, I think this is it. I mean, you get in a routine. You always say there's 3 versions of me. I don't know too many jobs are like this, where there's off-season Rock, spring training Rock, regular season Rock, and they're all totally different.
You have a very strict routine. Having spent all this time with you this spring.
But it's, and then you go start in the season, it's so different. And then when the off season starts, you're kind of adjusting your body clock again. And then it's like, what am I going to write about? And then, so I was getting up super early here because I was going to bed earlier. So I'd get up at 4 something and the gym opens at 5. And sometimes I'd get there at 4:45. There were people waiting to get in. I went home for a few days to see my wife and granddaughter. And I slept for like 2 hours on the couch Saturday, woke up at 8 o'clock. I was ready to go to bed. My wife's like, you're not going to be like this all 4 days, are you? So my body has not adjusted.
We have all got to come out of the spring training mode of getting up early. And when the night games start, we got day games in Boston, but when the night games begin, hopefully the body clocks will reset. But I'm going to take a cruise around Sarasota myself tonight before I head out with the team tomorrow. That'll send up Jorge Mateo. And it's ball 1. Daz Cameron has come on to pinch run for Frazier, son of Mike Cameron. Mateo has already made 1 impressive play at shortstop, but he has also gotten some time in center field. And that is over the inside corner. And there he is earlier today getting some work. He made the start yesterday against the Phillies. And for Mateo yesterday, it was kind of like being thrown into the deep end of the pool because he had that gusting wind out to left field, but he handled himself pretty well. They'll guide this one into right. Koperniak makes the catch, and there's out number 2.
Well, we can ask, you read too much into something or don't read too much into it. I asked Brandon Hyde, is this, with Mateo, he played a couple innings in center, then he got to start a few days later. Is this about, versatility, just getting him reacclimated to the outfield? He had to start since 2021 with the Padres, move him around. or could this also be linked to possible roster construction? He said a little bit of everything. But then he kind of doubled back to mainly, just the versatility. We want to be able to move him around as well, just in case we need him. But, kind of, at least in the back of your mind, you think maybe is this a way they're thinking, okay, we may not need the extra outfielder, backup center fielder if we can carry one of the left-handed hitting backup first baseman. Or maybe it doesn't have anything to do with it. I don't know, but it begs the question.
It's a jigsaw puzzle right now, Rock. Trying to figure it out, and you do wonder a little bit with Mateo getting some time in center field if maybe it has implications for the man of the plate in Ryan McKenna.
And Brandon Hyde really values McKenna's defense, all three spots, speed, how he's always ready, how attentive he is on the bench, knows the situation, stays ready. The Ferrari parked in the garage.
Coming in is Church. He makes the catch and ends the inning. So Jordan Montgomery, he has completed 5 innings. Beautiful Sarasota. Orioles fans, share the magic of Orioles baseball and start planning your next group outing. From clients to colleagues, sports teams, schools, family, and friends, Orioles group tickets offer a wide variety of seating and pricing options to fit any group need. Visit Orioles.com/groups for more information. Jeff Arnold, Rock Kabatko, back with you at Ed Smith Stadium. As the first pitch from Mike Baumann gets a cut and miss for strike one. We are pleased to be joined by Adam Frazier in his first year with the Orioles. Adam, take us through spring from start to finish. How do you think it went?
It was good. Healthy. I think a lot of guys did, so it's always a positive. But yeah, just get to know everybody here. A lot of talent. I think it's going to be a fun year.
What did you think of the young infield talent? It's what a lot of people are talking about, not just guys that are making this club, guys that are getting sent down to AAA, but are going to be banging on the door.
Not just infield, outfield too. It's very impressive all the way top to bottom with that prospect guys. All of them can really swing the bat and play good defense. So it's very impressive as a group, the amount of talent all together. I think they're all going to help us at some point this season, and we're going to need that.
Adam, we were talking about this the other day. It's a little bit different than it was for you in Seattle because they did have some veterans in the clubhouse. But for you, for Kyle Gibson, what is it like to be one of the veterans that younger guys will lean on this team?
I think it'll be a lot of the same for me. Get to take some younger guys under the wing and show them the ropes, I guess, and really just have them grow up on and off the field. I think that's going to benefit our clubhouse and benefit the team on the field. So the faster we can do that, the better off we're going to be. And like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
What is the process like for you to get used to a new team, a new clubhouse, manager, the hitting instruction here, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it takes a little bit to build relationships with the guys, the coaching staff, and the players. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot easier to do coming into a spring training than it is during the middle of the season. So looking forward to that. And yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
What have the hitting coaches helped you improve upon? Because I know when you signed with the Orioles, they had a pretty good sense of some things that you could tweak to get your swing back. What kind of things have you worked on offensively?
I worked on a lot of things, different thoughts, swing planes kind of thing, angles attacking the baseball, staying to the middle of the field. It really just comes down to, relaxing the hands and being on time. We kind of messed with some loading mechanisms and stuff like that, and I think it's helped. Past few days it felt really good, and it's just a matter of getting the few to fall and start 0 for 0 again here in Boston coming up soon. So we're excited about it.
You're going to have a couple different shortstops next to you when you're playing second base. Obviously, with Mateo and Gunnar Henderson could move over, and Ron Urias can play short. I mean, what is that like to just kind of get used to these new guys and where they like to feed and vice versa? What is that process?
That's what spring training's been for, I guess. Really figuring out what kind of feeds each guys give. Where to expect it, where to expect their miss, stuff like that. And we're still a work in progress in that regard, and getting to know each other a little more and more, and I think that helps, but it takes a little time. So yeah, it's we help each other as much as we can, and then the rest we just go play ball.
Adam, last one for me. Playing the outfield in spring training can be a bit of an adventure while dealing with the wind. What is it like to play in the outfield and deal with the spring training wind and the high skies and the challenges?
Yeah, high skies were there today. It's like as soon as it went up, and we had some trouble. But yeah, it's just getting your feet under you out there. Be an athlete, go react, and keep the ball in front and hit the cutoff man. That's really what we're trying to do. So get some reads and go play baseball out there. Just react.
Well, Adam, we really appreciate the time. Thanks so much, and best of luck in Boston.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Perniak with a double. Cameron could make the dive and catch as Mike Baumann allows his first hit. And Daz Cameron really gave it his all to try and haul in that ball in the corner. Now it's going to bring Dunn up to the plate.
That's part of the depth that Mike Elias brought in the organization this offseason. Signed a lot of guys, minor league deals or major league deals, and got them through waivers and outrighted, where it's not just filler or we need extra bodies in camp. It turns out there's a group of guys here that could help this club during the regular season. I mean, that's really a deeper roster than they've had in quite a while. You could have a Cameron, a Nomar Mazara, and we don't know what the final construction is going to be of the opening day roster, but you got Ryan O'Hearn and Franchi Cordero and Josh Lester and Lewin Diaz and whoever. I mean, it's a lot of guys that they are giving them options of they can bring up at any time here.
And I think that realizing just how well they've performed in spring training, if there is an injury or an open space on the roster, I don't think there would be any hesitation to go from the spring training group that has done so well and bring them up and see if they can contribute during the regular season.
Because I did this morning, like, when's the last time they have not made a move in spring training? They always do something in March. I mean, that is the Oriole way. They always go ahead and bring in at least one or two. It can be a waiver claim, trade, something, and they are signing of somebody that stayed on the free agent market. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. We still have a little bit of time, but it hasn't.
Well, Lester makes the catch on that line out. A 2-out double doesn't lead to anything. Mike Baumann threw 1 1/3. We are back at Ed Smith Stadium. Cardinals leading the Orioles 5-1. We're joined by today's starting pitcher, Dean Kramer. Dean, Jeff Arnold, Rock Kabako up in the booth. What was your takeaways from your final spring start?
I think overall, I mean, if you don't look at the line and you just look at the stuff and how it came out, I'm pretty content with how it went today.
And really, is the thing you focus on here is you're stretched out almost 90 pitches a day and you're getting out of camp healthy.
Yeah, that's a one of the bigger positives coming out of camp.
Dean, what does it mean to face what is basically the Cardinals opening day lineup? Is it significant that in your last spring start you get to face a group like they have?
Yeah, I mean, between my outing in Dunedin, pretty much facing the opening day Blue Jays lineup, and then today the opening day Cardinals lineup, these guys are pretty good.
Dean, we were told you're the #2 starter. How'd that conversation go with Brandon Hyde? And is there special meaning? And I know you just want to be in the rotation at this point, but being the #2 guy, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's an honor to be looked at in that way, and I'm super excited for this year, and hopefully we can build on what we did kind of last year.
Dean, I know you were working on your sinker, which came into your arsenal at the end of last year. How would you evaluate where that pitch is to better help you against right-handed hitters going into the season?
I like where it's at right now. Made a couple adjustments earlier in camp. Made some work in the off season that to try to make it a little bit more consistent. And then as kind of camp went on, tweaked it a little bit more. And I really like where it's at right now.
And we talked to Kyle Gibson earlier. What can veterans like Gibson and Cole Irvin do for this club?
I mean, not only are they going to eat significant innings, but they're also teachers from us younger guys, for us younger guys. They're somebody that we can look to for guidance, whether it be the mental side, the physical side, just pitching in general. I think they're going to be a big help this year.
Dean, lastly, what did it mean for you to pitch for Team Israel? You had a great outing in the WBC, but what did that experience mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. Every time I get to put on that uniform, it's for something special. And the WBC is unlike any other experience that you can kind of have on a baseball field. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Well, Dean, thanks so much for the time, and best of luck going to Boston.
Thank you very much, guys.
Dean Kramer starting for the Orioles today. Franchi Cordero flies out. Pair of quick outs for new Cardinals pitcher Giovanni Gallegos, who takes over for Jordan Montgomery, who threw 5 innings and allowed 1 run. Gallegos, he took part in the World Baseball Classic, pitching for Team Mexico. Luis Urias, the brother of Ramon Urias, was one of his teammates. O'Hearn flares it into right. Koperniak makes a sliding catch. Now, nicely done. Koperniak sliding in. The big fella getting ready to come into the game. I want to take a moment and give our thoughts and prayers and best wishes to all those in Mississippi affected by the tornado that displaced countless people from their homes, especially the people in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, who are dealing with quite a bit right now after tornadoes made landfall not too long ago. So we want to wish all of those folks the best. We're here today in Sarasota with the Orioles taking on the St. Louis Cardinals, the final spring game and the final spring tune-up for Felix Bautista, who comes on for the 7th.
And it looks like he's going to be available opening day. They wanted to get him a few more outings. They've been able to do that now, assuming everything goes well here, because that was a question mark when we arrived in camp, because he did have the shoulder fatigue to close out last season. He had the issue with his left knee, ended up on the IL, and it's 2 things they were working on all the way here through beginning of camp. So he was slow played, and the goal was by mid-March we got to get him in. They said maybe the 16th, ended up being a little bit before that, to get him in game. And if we can get like 4 or 5 outings and innings from him, that should be enough. And here we are. So it looks like he'll be available, and this is his 5th outing, and it's important anyway. But when you lose Dylan Tate and you probably lose Michael Gibbons, you really need the big guy here.
You know, the Mountain coming off a fantastic 2022. You see 203 pitches thrown at 100 or more last year, 6th most in the major leagues, and he strikes out Irving Lopez on the pinch hit. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
I'm pretty sure this came into triple digits too. Looked like 100 right there. And look at the movement. What was crazy to me is, I thought he was kind of a bubble guy last year, even going on the 40-man, and they put him on because, again, with that arm. And then I'm like, I don't know if he's going to break camp with them when the guy that averaged that many walks per 9 innings in the minors. It's something we're going to have to work on, even though he was improving as he was moving up, but still it was substantial. And he's like that rare breed, the unicorn you find, where it's like somebody's walks per 9 innings actually go down in the majors. That rarely, if ever, happens. And that was a big key for him. It wasn't just the velocity, then having to split, but being able to stay in the strike zone the way he did. They've done a lot of work with him, and he just became this great weapon. It starts out as a high leverage setup guy, and then of course inherited the closer role. And we saw, as I believe, once Jorge Lopez was traded, then it was really kind of like his job then, and they trusted him to do it. And that was one of the locks that's actually going to turn out here. There were a few others that did, but it's like this guy's the closer coming into camp.
The good news for Dylan Tate is it does sound like he is on schedule, and we'll continue to wait on Michael Gibbons. But after some problems with the knee soreness in his sim game yesterday, seems to be in doubt for opening day.
Which is really strange to see, because he is so durable. When they signed him, that was one of the first things that come to mind. This guy's 60 to 70 appearances every year, and he prides himself on that. And this isn't arm, elbow, anything like that. It's knee, and he's felt it in his last outing, where the results were fine. He was having trouble getting over the other leg, and he said that this was, he thought it was going to be a temporary thing, and it just got worse. And you kind of lose track when you're in camp here of how many guys are pitch when and how much of a gap between outings. So someone's like, well, he hasn't pitched since the 16th. And I thought maybe he's doing work on the back field. And I talked to him earlier that morning about all the balks, and he never mentioned it. Nobody did. Then we got to Dunedin, and I asked, Brandon, when are we going to see him again? And he mentioned the knee issue. Was a bulky knee. Who knew? I had balk. I just didn't know there was a bulky knee.
Burleson behind, moves it to 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Felix Bautista, stuff-wise, looks fine. This is actually Chandler Redmond, was in Double-A last year.
So the key now is going to be able to have a strong enough bridge to get late inning leads to Bautista to close. It's great that he's available, but you don't have Tate and you probably don't have Gibbons right away, and that's where other guys have to step up. And Brian Baker being one of them. He was so good last year. I believe 11 scoreless appearances to end the season. Started slowly here numbers-wise, but he was never worried. He liked the stuff, and he's been much better. Whether that's Crable, Perez, I mean, there are guys that are going to have to step up even more. We don't know what the rest of the construction of the bullpen's going to be. Is it Politi? But you have to have the strong enough bridge to get there.
I think a big key, too, is Keegan Aiken and the way he has pitched. I mean, outside of the home run that he gave up late in the game yesterday to the Phillies, nobody, be it in live game action or on the backfields, has been able to do anything against him. Did he check his swing on appeal? He did not. So 1-2-3 7th inning for Bautista. It includes 2 strikeouts. Cardinals up 5-1.
.com/tickets.
I believe so.
Andre Palante, the new pitcher for the Cardinals. He open up the bottom of the 7th inning. St. Louis leading this one 5-1. Out hit the Orioles 9-3, and Palante is going to follow Giovanni Gallegos, who needed just 5 pitches to get through the last inning. And Palante delivers strike 1 to begin. He pitched for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic. And he's facing off against Judd Fabian, who takes in the dirt, and it moves it to 1 ball and 1 strike.
I don't know about you, my score sheet here is a mess. I've got guys batting out of order. I mean, you're going to have to take it from
We're
here.
sending prayers from Sarasota, Rock.
I was just like, wait a minute. I thought Lester was on deck. No, he hit for Rutschman. And I was sitting behind these poor guys in Lakeland for the Tigers game. These 3 elderly gentlemen who handle the stats and everything else. And at one point, a guy just threw his arms in the air and said, I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm like, well, these are not going to be accurate then, are they? Because they were batting, you know, they would replace a catcher, but he wouldn't be in that spot. That's where it gets confusing. Guys are like out of order. The right fielder comes in for the right fielder, but he's batting where the first baseman was, and it just threw everybody off.
And Fabian stares at strike 3 over the outside corner. Yeah, spring training is the only 2.5-hour exercise where you gradually see your handwriting get worse by the minute.
What have you done with the pitch clock?
I think as a broadcaster, you really have to keep your eyes up. It is very hard to look down if you've got a note. That's why you got to do that big league preparation, Rock.
That's right.
But it seems like a lot of people have come away feeling that like they've adjusted to the pitch clock and gotten used to it. And it sounds like going into the start of the regular season, there have been a few clarification memos issued. But we're basically going to see in the regular season, at least at the start, what we are seeing right now. And another thing that you have to factor in is how challenges are going to work and the challenge that that's going to create for managers. Because if you want to challenge a play, manager now has to put their hand up, and as soon as that happens, you get 15 seconds and they start a 15-second clock, and then it becomes either challenge or don't.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of like 2-hour and 6-minute games in the regular season. I think there will probably be a little bit longer now. They may be a lot that go under 3, but I would be surprised. I think there's going to be a little longer, and Gibbons would pointed this out when we were talking before, because you are going to have challenges, television, other factors that may slow down a little bit, but you could still have a lot of 245s that would have been 315, 320. And it's not like major changes to the game itself. It's just tightening it up a little bit.
3-1 against Maverick Hanley. Flared out to shortstop. Mater will grab it and then throw on to first for the out.
A little surprised at all that Jordan Westberg is still here.
I mean, he's made it hard to send him down to minor league camp. He's gone from second to short to third. He's hit the ball really well, batting over 300 on the spring.
And he hits it really hard. He's one of those guys.
6 extra base hits, and it's 1 ball and no strikes.
So this could be as simple as, you know, in past years you had a lot of guys who were like non-roster infielders that you would keep around to fill in like in later innings, but they didn't really have that type of guy. It was all the backup first base competitors, guys who were projected to be starters or whatever, and then you had all the prospects, you know, the Holidays and Ortiz and Westberg and others. So, you know, you start moving those guys out to go back to minor league camp, get ready for the season, but you have to keep somebody. It can't just be those starters, and you have to have extra, like, you know, middle infielders and whatever. And I think Westberg is a guy they think is close to the majors. He's been impressive, so you keep him here.
1 and 2, 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning. And Westberg chases a breaking ball, making it a 1-2-3 inning for Palante. The Orioles trailing the Cardinals 5-1. Compete to win the ultimate baseball game day experience with MLB Opening Day Pick'em presented by Chevrolet. Restrictions apply. See rules and enter at MLB.com/pick'em. We start the 8th inning at Ed Smith Stadium. It's a 5-1 Cardinals lead. Orioles' only run coming in the bottom of the 1st on a double by Anthony Santander. And the new pitcher for the Orioles is Edward Bizardo. Spent some time last year with the Boston Red Sox and has been in camp the entire time.
One of those free agent signings in December, a minor league free agent that you kind of go, okay, and you start doing your research to look him up, and you don't really give it much thought. But again, still here. Do I think he makes the club? Probably not, but still here, and he has impressed. He had 2.76 ERA, 0.980 WHIP in 12 games with the Red Sox last year, and was still available with the Orioles. And they did like checking out the Red Sox minor league pitchers. They grabbed a couple.
And him and then Andrew Politti. I'm still surprised that Politti never pitched for Boston last year.
No, Dorinzon Hernandez as well. But yeah, Politti, you know, he was invited to camp the year before. They didn't invite him last spring. He had struggled some and left him exposed. And with the Orioles picking 17th in the Rule 5, but that was a guy they wanted. They targeted him, and he was still available. And I think Politti, he had his girlfriend at the time went for a walk. He was starting to track a little bit of the Rule 5. He was, you know, I'm not going to sit around the house all day, and went for a walk, and then his phone rang.
3-1 to Butchberger, who had the 3-run homer earlier for the Cardinals, and he swings through it to make it full. They do like Bizardo's stuff a lot. We heard that at the very beginning of spring. It's a matter of, can he throw enough strikes?
He's only walked 2 so far, 7 1/3, 10 strikeouts.
And he's got a starter's arsenal. Butchberger to right field. Cordero moving to the warning track. He'll make the catch 1 step in front of it. So 1 out. And it's going to be Nick Raposo who will bat. Rounds this one foul.
If you throw strikes, Brandon Hyde's going to be a big fan of yours, and you saw that with Kyle Gibson. In the first 14 innings, he hadn't walked it back. Only walked 1 this spring. Cole Irvin, 1.
I mean, those two guys, the reason why they threw so many strikes and were so comfortable doing it is because how good the Orioles defense is.
And Gibson talked about that, and he's very careful. He's super nice. He didn't want to make sound like he was saying anything derogatory about the Phillies infield. He kept stressing that. But yes, he goes, you got to just let these guys play, make them hit it on the ground, and then just let them do their thing. And he didn't have quite that comfort previously.
And the reality of it is, you have athletic defenders on the infield right now, and you have a lot of athletic infielders in the minor leagues too.
We keep drafting shortstops, and you can move them around. If you can play short, the thinking is whether you can play anywhere. So you guys move to third, they move to second. Gunnar Henderson, probably opening day third baseman. As long as Jorge Mateo is here, he's a third baseman, and he's plus over there. And it makes you think about, well, that's what happened with Manny.
Center field. And the catch is made by Ryan McKenna for out number 2.
Also, Mr. Ripken did that. You can start a guy at third base, you can always move him over. And Gunnar will play plenty of short, there's no doubt. But I talked to a scout from another organization. He's like, what are they going to do with all these infielders and outfielders? Like, all these guys are eventually going to be beaten down the door to get up here. We'll start making some trades. So there are scouts that are watching guys like Urias and Mateo thinking, well, they may become available later. Maybe they don't, but if they do we recommend them? We like these guys for our club if the Orioles aren't willing to part with the young infielders. I mean, I'm not big at math, but it's a 26-man roster. At some point, if it's Westberg, if it's Ortiz, if it's Norby, if it's Kalzer, if it's Kersad, you got to make room for them. Excellent problem to have, of course. And this is where everybody raves about the young talent and the depth in this organization that they haven't seen in a long time.
Another chance for McKenna. Heading back onto the warning track. It'll hit off of the wall, and then it caroms off of McKenna and then back over the fence. It'll be a ground rule double for Nate Church.
It's a loud noise. McKenna's so good in center, you think maybe he has a shot at this. Just ran out of room. Not a bad plan. If you can't make the catch, just knock it over the fence. Hold him to 2.
So caroms off of McKenna. Brings up Pedro Pages, who struck out when he came on a pinch hit earlier, and he'll look at strike 1. Facing Eduard Bizardo. Red Sox originally signed him as an international free agent. Apparently he was, when he signed, about 140 to 145 pounds.
Not anymore.
No.
That's where the really good scouts, they project how a kid's going to grow into his frame.
And honestly, it feels like if you're an international scout, the hardest thing to scout is pitching.
It's just nice that the Orioles are doing that now, how active they are in the international market.
Good play by Maverick Hanley. Took over behind the plate earlier for Adley Rutschman. Both teams had lineups that pretty close to being opening day lineups, and they say that Pages went around. So Bizardo picks up a strikeout after he allows the double. We are headed to the middle of the 8th in a 5-1 game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Orioles and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. Beautiful Sarasota. Lots to do when you come down to Ed Smith Stadium, and then you can go all around town and check out some of the great spots, either downtown, or you can go to Siesta Key, or you can go to Longboat Key. There's so many things to do when you come down to Sarasota. You get to take in some great Orioles baseball, and then you have all kinds of other options available. There's a line drive, and it's caught. Daz Cameron hit it right on the screws as he turns the first pitch from Grant Black around and is denied a base hit.
When you're Daz, you have had a lot of hits in camp, and you still want to make an impression. That hurts. You talk about all the things in Sarasota. I can promise you, and you know too, if you drive anywhere, people have discovered Sarasota. It's a lot busier than it was when we first got here. It's just been a gradual build, but you got a lot of people coming here now, moving here, or here for spring training, spring break.
Fortunately, I am down here to be supervision for you, to make sure you and some of the other writers don't get into too much trouble. Haven't gotten any 11 o'clock phone calls at night.
I'm going to sleep at least 4 hours by then, probably 3 or 4.
It's the numbers on Grant Black. Cesar Prieto pops this up. Motter makes the catch, second out of the inning. And last year, Black spent time between AA and AAA, Memphis and Springfield. Pitched to a 3.97 ERA, working mostly as a relief pitcher. From Newport, Arkansas. And there's Nolan Hoffman throwing in the bullpen.
Probably seen a little more of Nolan Hoffman than we thought we were going through this spring. Maybe the saves leader on this club.
Pitches from a very interesting arm angle.
It does.
This is nubbed out in front of home plate. Kisner pounces on it and throws out McKenna. So a 1-2-3 inning for Black. The Orioles down 4. We move to the 9th. New pitcher for the Orioles is Nolan Hoffman, making his 7th spring appearance. Every time you go to spring training, somebody will jump out at you that maybe you didn't know who they were or you weren't necessarily expecting it. You'll never forget a couple of years ago how it was Cesar Valdez. And this year, maybe that one pitcher has been Nolan Hoffman, who's put good numbers together. And even earlier on this spring, pitched at Tropicana Field. He got to pitch in a big league ballpark, and he's got a couple of saves on his resume. And today he'll come on. The Orioles trailing 5-1. Looking at the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in the Cardinals order.
Yeah, he's come on a couple times where inherits a mess. Bases loaded jam. Gets out of it earlier in the game in the 9th inning. I believe we were in Lakeland when he did that the last time. And he's a guy they drafted the minor league phase of the Rule 5 draft between the 2022 season. He had been with the Mariners. It's a 5th round pick out of Texas A&M. And, you know, rough start to the pro career. He had Tommy John surgery, and the rehab's delayed by the pandemic, canceling the 2020 minor league season. So it's been kind of a slow road here for him to return. But he's been impressive. And I really do think that they love the deception.
Cardinals didn't like that call. Koperniak takes strike 2. And he goes down on strikes. A little bit of a rise to that fastball that he throws.
And you're right. Moves his way up the zone.
That's the thing that you want in a bullpen. You don't want just one group that does the same thing. You want pitchers that throw different velocities, different arm angles. You want a mix of lefties and righties. So like Brandon Hyde said, I want at least 2 lefties in my bullpen. And that way, if you're the other team, they can't get too comfortable.
And he made it to Bowie last year, pitching the Arizona Fall League. So you could see him in Norfolk's bullpen, and then, of course, you're a phone call away. And we have seen a lot of shuttling going on between the majors and AAA covering this team. So was it 58 players used last year? That's one of the things Hyde, he hates having to do this, call players in to tell them they've been cut. He said today, nobody likes to see me walk in the clubhouse right now because they're all on eggshells. But one of the things that he's able to say is that we use 58 guys. So, you know, you're going to have another opportunity.
It doesn't look like it's sidearm. It doesn't look like it's submarine. It looks like it's something in between. I get bonus points for rhyming there.
It's always hard to make the distinction. Like, is Michael Givens sidearm? I call him that, but is it more 3/4? Chad Bradford was definitely submarine. Was Darren O'Day more submarine, sidearm, 3/4, 1/4?
It works. How about that?
Yes.
3-2 against Dunn, and he'll foul it back. And the other thing about Nolan Hoffman that Brandon Hyde talked about early, and we've seen pretty much every time he's pitched, is that he's come in there and he's thrown strikes. which you go into a major league camp, you pitch in a major league ballpark, even if it's only a spring training game. It's a soft roller back to the mound. So there's 2 outs in the inning, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but Hoffman showed great poise out there, and he's got 2 quick outs.
He still hasn't given up a run. 1 hit this spring, 4 to 3rd coming in, 7 strikeouts.
Maybe he'll be walking into that man's office at some point this year. You never know.
And only 25.
Here's Irving Lopez out to Prieto, a diving pickup. He throws to first. It'll bring O'Hearn off the bag. And Irving Lopez safe. Now Prieto did everything he could to make this play. All kind of kicked up on him at the very end.
Yeah, it did. If he was able to maintain his footing, he's got a shot there. Prieto, one of those kind of forgotten guys. When he was signed, there was talk that he was so polished that maybe he could actually make his major league debut that year, and got to Bowie, but that was it. But there are just so many middle infield prospects. He obviously went through the whole adjustment period. But an international signing they're really happy with.
And a player that's a little bit more advanced on the international side of things. You typically bring in young players, they're 16, 17 years old. But last year of the international signing period, they had some money left over, and they were able to go out and get Cesar Prieto.
And the competition he faced, and those are legit numbers.
2-1 the count. Orioles have been limited to just 3 hits. The Cardinals with 11. Next game that the Orioles will play after this, opening day in Boston, 2:10. Kyle Gibson, Corey Kluber.
Temperatures in the 40s.
And Rock dressing warmly as that's looped into center field.
Talking to Gibson about that, maybe you're okay pitching in the cold. He goes, I'm from Indiana, because I actually enjoy it. I'm like, all right, you're one of the few guys, but he's fine with that.
It'll be his 2nd opening day assignment. What most people forget is about the first one, and he joked with us when he came on earlier, that he hopes to go a little bit farther than the last time. But after that one bad start, he rebounded to become an all-star with the Rangers.
I mean, he went on such a tear, and it wasn't a short sample size. It was over a couple months after that, but that was after retiring 1 batter on opening day, giving up 5 runs, walking 3 batters.
Oh, 1 against Chandler Redmond, one of a couple who have played for the Cardinals at first base today. One 1. And Corey Kluber starts opposite Gibson, and then it'll be Dean Kramer, and he's going to face off against Chris Sale, who the Orioles faced last week and kind of had their way with.
They did. And that's the big question when you talk about the Red Sox. People said, I don't know about that pitching. And, can Kluber stay healthy? Can Sale stay healthy? They feel like they're still going to hit, even without Bogarts. They're going to put runs on the board, but what about that rotation? And I don't know who else. They have Pivetta.
They have Tanner Houck. Nick Pivetta. They are dealing with a couple of injuries. Garrett Whitlock,
who is a starter.
Okay. Will not start the year in the rotation. Will start on the injured list. Two. Pitch missed. And Redmond on appeal did not swing. A full count in this 5-1 game. Runners go. Redmond into deep left field. Cameron watches it sail out of here. Second three-run homer that the Cardinals have gotten today. And this one belongs to Redmond. His three-run shot makes it 8-1 St. Louis.
Give the Cardinals credit for bouncing back from a 24-1 loss the way they have. It's caught a little bit too much of the outer part of the plate there. That's impressive power the other way.
It was impressive power. Also maybe a little bit of help from the wind in left field to carry that one a little further back. So here's the first Cardinal to hit a three-run homer. That's Jacob Butchberger. Grounds it to first off the glove of O'Hearn. He'll get it to Hoffman in time. But another home run by St. Louis makes it an 8-1 Cardinals lead going to the bottom of the ninth. Brandon Hyde watching the final half inning of Grapefruit League play. That started 6 weeks ago. And today is the final spring training game. The Orioles are trailing this one 8-1. Cardinals have gotten two different three-run homers in the game. And the Cardinals will go back to the bullpen one more time. Bring on Trent Baker. Those fans exiting Ed Smith Stadium and what has been another fun spring training in Sarasota. 7,468 out at Ed Smith today for the final spring training game. Yesterday you had a sellout crowd against the Phillies.
And not a single rainout. Usually get maybe one. When I was home for 4 days, I think that's what I missed the rain where a game started a half hour late. It was a split squad, and the one that was in, I think, Northport ended early because of the weather. But no rainouts, which on one hand, sometimes the manager's like, oh, we could use a little break, but you're trying to, come up with innings to get your guys ready, pitchers at bats. And later in camp, you really don't want that because you're trying to get guys on the schedule, and you don't have to suddenly be like everybody to the back field or throwing indoors. So the weather has really been perfect. It's been much warmer than I remember, but again, you're not going to complain about that when you're heading home or heading to Boston.
Lester rolls it to the hole at second. Dunn will get it to the pitcher covering, and there's one away.
Jeff, maybe we find out later the fate of a Josh Lester, a Ryan O'Hearn, of a Franchi Cordero.
It's something that's really interesting. And you know what's funny is we saw this the other day, and you talked about it in your blog post. It's like actors auditioning for a role. You got Lester, Cordero, and O'Hearn back to back to back. Here in the ninth inning, a chance to make one final case for a spot. Cordero has hit the ball very well, showcased that great power. Another chance for Dunn. 2 away. But if they don't make the team, then you have depth options down at AAA, who you know will be available in a moment's notice. But all three have done their part in spring training, and I think some credit too goes to Ryan Fuller and Matt Borgschulte for helping unlock some of the power and help these three have good spring trainings.
I mean, there hasn't been much of a separator as far as you look at the numbers across the board. They bring a little bit different things with Lester going over to third base, and Cordero is a better outfielder as a first baseman. O'Hearn, they trust him at first, they trust him in the outfield. And they've all hit, and it's from the left side, and it's going to have to be one of those decisions of, okay, can we carry a non-roster hitter here, first of all, because there's a very good chance there wouldn't be any that make it, but if we do, which one of these guys? What is it exactly that we're looking for?
For O'Hearn, maybe it is the ability to play the infield and the outfield. Franchi Cordero has that. Josh Lester can play first base, and he can play third base. O'Hearn in the left field. Church on the warning track. Does it have enough? It does. An opposite field home run for Ryan O'Hearn.
All right, he's made it. That was the separate.
One last souvenir to make it 8-2.
I mean, Hearn has said, like, I know I can help this club in many ways. And it's obviously hopeful, but he's like, I can't stress every at-bat. It's going to be counterproductive, but I know I can help this club. Lester was like, look, I just want to make the kind of impression that even if I don't make it right now, they look at me and say, okay, this guy can help us later, and you hope sooner rather than later, and I'll be up at some point.
It's going to get another at-bat to Judd Fabian. Struck out the only other time he's been up.
Here's that opposite field power. Right down the middle of the plate. And yeah, the ball's carrying a little bit to left, but he barreled that one. And a guy that the Royals were excited about and then just never all came together. Good rookie season and then just tailed off.
Said it was time for a change.
And he was on the 40 and then he was quickly off the 40.
Fabian, he went around, and that will end the game. Hearn hits a home run, but the Cardinals helped out by a couple of 3-run homers, and the Orioles wrap up their Grapefruit League schedule. They finish with 16 wins, 13 losses, and 3 ties. And next up, opening day. So that'll do it from Ed Smith Stadium. Final score, it is the Cardinals 8 and the Orioles 2. Opening day, it is just 3 days away. You can join us again Thursday when the O's open up the 2023 regular season in Boston. Coverage on MASN 2 begins at 1:30 with O's Extra, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Kyle Gibson and Corey Kluber will be your pitching matchup at Fenway Park. First pitch coming up at 2:10. Today's telecast has been a MASN presentation. For MASN insider Rock Kubatko, Jeff Arnold saying so long, and we will talk to you on Thursday in Boston.